The KEF LS50 Wireless II are more than just high performance loudspeakers. In fact, you can see one sitting here looking absolutely fantastic on its optional stand. These are all-in-one powered speakers. They have wired connections and they also have wireless compatibility too, including the likes of Bluetooth, AirPlay 2 and Chromecast, to name just a few. And they also connect to many different streaming services, and we're going to take a look at all of this during this video. So full disclosure for you, these were kindly sent in free of charge by KEF. They haven't asked me to say anything in particular, no money's exchanged hands, they haven't asked to pre-approve the video. I'm just going to share with you my experience of using these speakers over the past few weeks. So let's take a closer look. So these are the KEF LS50 Wireless II speakers, the second generation of the speaker, and this particular model is in the carbon black colour with the matching optional stands. The stands are really cool because they have internal cable management, so you can put all of the interconnecting wires and the power cable down through the stand and out of the bottom, and it just looks like a really neat installation. I should also mention that these speakers are available in 3 additional colours, and all of them are really nicely finished. They look absolutely superb. Now, setup is very simple. You assemble the stands if you're using them. If you're not using the stands, the speakers will really easily just sit on your desktop if you're using them for a computer, for example, or indeed if you've got a big enough TV stand, they sit on the TV stand. They come with these rubber feet pre-installed, which you swap out for foam pads if you're using the optional stands that I've got here. Now, you connect each speaker to your mains power because these are powered speakers, and then you also put an interconnect cable between the 2 speakers, and it's an Ethernet connection. Now, you don't have to use this Ethernet cable, but I found that the connection between the 2 speakers was more robust when this cable was in place. Then it's just a simple matter of opening the app on your smartphone and running through the sort of setup wizard, and then you're good to go. So let's take a closer look at the Kef Connect app. So this is the Kef Connect app, and we're currently on the home screen. We've got access here to some suggested audio. We've also got access to the inputs, so we can change from some of the wireless inputs to the physical wired connections as well. We've also got access to our streaming services, radio and podcasts, and also music on our network, which includes the likes of a connected NAS, for example. So if you've got your music library on a NAS, you can access that as well. Then we can move across to the full remote control, again with access to the inputs, also quick access to our music track. We can play and pause it, adjust the volume. We can go into the music tab in the middle, and this is where we've got access to all of our streaming services, including radio stations and podcasts and our media servers again. And then we've got EQ settings, so we can set a desk mode, wall mode. We can also do a treble trim, phase correction, bass extension, and set various gains down the bottom there. And then we've got our main settings where we can select our speakers that we're connected to, also our speaker preferences. One of the changes I made here was I inversed the left and right speaker, so I've got my main speaker on the left instead of the right, because that's where my connections on my TV were. And then we can go back one panel and go into volume. Here we can set a maximum volume, for example, balance control. It really is just so configurable. It's a really nicely laid out app, and I really do like the main settings page and also these EQ settings, because it means you can really customize how these speakers sound to your own personal preference. So I'm sure you'll agree the Kef Connect app is really good. It's a nice fully featured app and gives you plenty of options for the streaming services and also to configure the sound and how your speakers are going to work. So now let's take a listen to the speakers, but before we do so, I want to mention what's inside the speakers. So inside there is a 100-watt Class AB amplifier. This is for the higher frequencies, so it sort of drives the tweeter. And then there's also a 280-watt Class D amplifier, and this drives the lower frequencies, so the 130mm aluminium cone speaker. And this amplifier configuration is in each speaker. So in the left-hand speaker, there are 2 amplifiers, and in the right-hand speaker, there are 2 amplifiers as well. So let's take a listen to how they sound so you can judge it for yourself. Also included with the KEF LS50 Wireless II speakers is this really nice remote. It's nice and slimline, very simple in its design, and just minimal buttons on the remote. This gives you control over the source input, also the volume, and also some track control as well. And of course there's a main power on off button. And if you're not using the remote control, you can also control the speakers on the top here. There's this top touch panel on the main speaker, and this has got a main power on off button. It's also got a source input button. You can switch between the various inputs, including the wireless connections and the wired connections. There's also a mute button and also volume up and down. So how have I been using the KEF LS50 Wireless II speakers? Well, first of all, I connected an optical cable to one of the speakers and had them connected to my TV. And I used them for normal TV watching, and they were absolutely superb. Very focused sound, and when you're listening to dialogue, so somebody's speaking, it was very clear, very easy to hear, even at lower volumes. And then I also watched a couple of movies, and wow, was I blown away. I was very impressed, especially the lower bass frequencies, which were just so effortless. For such a small compact speaker, these go very low indeed, and they just sound absolutely superb. Now, something I should quickly mention is about the Ethernet cable. When I removed the interconnects in Ethernet cable, the audio would drop out very occasionally. But in my test room, it's packed full of wireless tech, so I can't really put the blame entirely on the speakers. My advice would be, anyway, regardless of whether I had dropouts or not, would be to use that interconnecting Ethernet cable for the best possible sound. Now, I also tested some of the streaming services, including Amazon Music, which I use regularly, and I listen to plenty of different genres of music. There's such a lively character to these speakers. They're a pleasure to listen to. And in fact, I lost hours over the weekend just listening to music time and time again and just really enjoying it. They sound absolutely superb, and I really can't fault the audio quality. So these are the KEF LS50 II, the second generation of their wireless speakers, and I can certainly recommend them. If you want to pick up these for yourself, there are purchasing links down in the video description. There's also a link to the manufacturer's website. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you in another video very soon.